So today we are going to be looking at a very important question that will actually change your mindset on how you see real estate investment. Now, this particular topic is a very sensitive topic, and as a matter of fact, this is one of the most common things that we see or experience in the Nigerian real estate investments, or even outside the country, but mostly in Nigerian real estate investments. These are one of the things that we encounter, and because a lot of people are not knowledgeable about it, they keep making constant mistakes, they keep making a lot of mistakes, keep losing ownership to their properties. But in this particular video, I'm going to be enlightening you on how you can invest with clarity. Now, the question is talking about if you can buy, if you as a buyer can actually invest or buy a deceased person's property. That is what we're going to be discussing today. If you can buy a deceased person's property. So now let's get right into it. First and foremost, being a family member of a deceased person does not automatically give anyone the right to sell a deceased person's property. Being a family member does not automatically give anyone the right to sell a deceased person's property. If your uncle dies or if your brother dies and he has a property, because you notice that he's already dead, even if you people want to bury him, it does not give you the right, because he's your brother, it doesn't give you the right to want to resell his property. So let's just wait for other persons to join. Let's wait for people to join so we don't start going back to the drawing board. Yeah. So while we wait for other persons to join, because I actually do not have enough time on this, so while we wait for other persons to join, I'm going to be dropping the things that I have for you. So at your own convenient time, you can actually come back and watch the video. So the thing is, being a family member does not give anyone the right to sell a deceased person's property. Please pay close attention to this particular topic because it's going to save you years of spending money in court over a property that you thought you actually owned. Now let's go. Let me explain what I'm about to say. Let's say, for example, a person dies or a person passes away, let's say 2 weeks later, or a month later, or even a year later, you start seeing that the siblings are putting up the property for sale, or the family members are putting up the property for sale. Then you, as the buyer, you're feeling excited because you actually know that such kind of deal are very, very attractive. I mean, for your mind or to yourself, you are actually getting a good deal. What if I told you that the property you're buying is not just a property? You might actually be buying years of Lego battle. Oh, yes. You might be buying years of Lego battle because a family member or a sibling cannot just wake up to sell a deceased person's property. It doesn't work that way. The law does not work that way at all. And before a person can actually have the right to sell a deceased person's property, before a person can actually have the right to sell a deceased person's property, the appropriate legal process must be completed. The appropriate legal process must be completed. As a matter of fact, the right people must be officially authorized. The right people must be officially authorized before anyone, be it a family member or a sibling, can actually have the right to resell a deceased person's property or sell a deceased person's property to you. Now, as a buyer, if you find yourself in that situation, you don't have to do this alone because you need to have your legal representative on ground. You need to have your legal representative on ground. They will be able to verify the documents and ensure that all the transactions that pertains with that particular document are sound. This is their job. You don't have to do everything by yourself. You don't even have to embark on that kind of situation by yourself. That is why I'm enlightening you. That is why I am your real estate consultant. I am enlightening you about it because I see a lot of people that go into such transactions, and at the end of the day, they come back feeling losing ownership to their property, or at the end of the day, you see that they are fighting over the property in court. Now, I want you to pay attention to these five things that I'm about to list out to you. At the very least, you need to confirm these five things that I want to talk about. Now, the first is the letter of administration. If there is a will, if there is no will, fine. If there is a will, a probate will suffice. These are the things you need to verify. Now, the second thing you also need to verify is a death certificate. Verify the death certificate. Thirdly, verify the title document. Very important. Verify the title document. Now, you see why you need your legal representative on ground. Now, the number four thing you need to verify, which I actually feel is more important, is the identification of the appointed administrator of that particular property, because when a document is being given to you, such things are actually stated. So you are going to verify the identification of the appointed administrator and executor. That's the fourth thing you need to do. Now, the fifth thing you also need to do when you are embarking on this particular transaction is to make sure that you have a thorough legal due diligence. I'll say it again. Have a thorough legal due diligence when you are embarking on this kind of transaction. Now, to some people, they might feel like it is a lot of work. My dear, it might feel like a lot of work, but it is even far better than losing your hard earned money. Or better still, spending years in court over a property you actually thought you owned. Now, does it make sense? I hope like it's making a whole lot of sense right now, right? That's the thing. That is it. It is far better than losing ownership to your property instead of spending years in court over a property that you actually bought. Because things like this, you start seeing where some agents will actually put out things like distress sale. They'll put out distress sale. Now, this distress sale is because they want to sell a deceased person's property. The law does not permit them to do that. But because you, as a buyer, you're not knowledgeable about it, you don't know anything about it, you have not been enlightened about it, you go and buy because the deal looks attractive. At the end of the day, that 2.5 million naira, let's say the property worth 5 million naira and you're buying at 1.5 million naira because it's a distress sale. Do you know that you're going to spend years in court spending over 20 million naira for 1.5 million naira worth of a property? As a matter of fact, most of these cases doesn't even end in 2 years. It doesn't end in 5 years. Most of these cases actually it ends in over 10 years, 20 years. So I'll ask again, can you buy a deceased person's property simply because the family members put it out there as a distress deal, or you feel that it is a very sweet deal that you need to put your hard-earned money to? Secondly, before I proceed, I would like to ask this one. I would like to state this. If you have any question concerning this particular topic that you want to reach out to me about, drop a comment in the comment section. I'll land in your DM. And if you feel you do not want to say anything in the comment section, kindly give me a call. My number is in my description. So kindly go to my description and you're going to see my number. That was the last thing that I wrote. You see my number. Send me a message and I will attend to you. So, most important thing you also need to know is that if you want to avoid all of this drama and invest with peace of mind, send us a message so we can guide you to view our available properties for you to make the right decision. So, for those of us coming in right now, we are still talking about one particular topic that a lot of people are making mistake because it's a common thing that has been happening in the real estate industry, which is buying a deceased person's property. without making your due diligence. And that's my question is, can you as a buyer buy a deceased person's property? Can you buy a deceased person's property? After listening to everything that I've said today, can you buy a deceased person's property? Now, I want you to note something. I wouldn't say you shouldn't buy a deceased person's property. Like I have said earlier, if you find yourself in this kind of situation where you're going to transact or buy a deceased person's estate, you should have your legal representative on ground, because the law does not permit anyone, the law does not automatically give anyone the right to sell a deceased person's property simply because you are the family member or you are the sibling to the deceased person. The law does not give you the right to resell that property. So if you, now that you've known about it, you're now knowledgeable about it, and you find yourself in that kind of situation, or maybe in the future you actually find yourself in that kind of situation, make sure you have your legal representative on ground. And by legal representative, I mean having a property lawyer. I am not talking about having a lawyer or a barrister. Have a property lawyer on ground. They will be able to verify the documents. They will verify the documents of that property, and they will also confirm and ensure that all the transactions that pertain with that particular document are accurate, they are legally sound. So you don't buy a property and at the end of the day, the money or the capital you're meant to use to develop your estate or to develop your property, you are actually using it to spend in court. That's not a good deal. That is the worst deal. I know every deal, any investment or any business we actually find ourselves into have one kind of risk, but this kind of risk should be avoided. So if you're just watching my live video for the very first time, kindly give us a subscription. Click on the subscription button. Subscribe to our channel because we are bringing a whole lot of things that will make people to invest with peace of mind, whether you're in Nigeria, anywhere you are in the world. All you have to do is to subscribe to our channel. You're going to learn a lot of things. You're going to invest with peace of mind. So it seems we don't have any questions, and I think the topic is well detailed, is well understandable, and because we don't have any other question, I'm gonna be ending this live video right now because I am at the office. I'm at the office and I'll be attending to some other things at the office. So since in the absence of no question, because I wouldn't say further question because there has not been any question. In the absence of no question, I'm gonna be ending this live video right now. So if you're just joining, kindly go back and watch. Kindly go back and rewatch. And if you've been watching and you feel you don't really understand everything, drop a question, send me a DM, or go back to watch. My last question is, can you buy a deceased person's property? And if you find yourself in that kind of situation, make sure you have a legal representative on ground to be able to guide you. As always, I am the real land boss, your go-to realtor. See you on the next one. You're welcome. Bye.